The preparation of pickled beets and eggs within Amish households is far more than a simple cooking task. It represents a confluence of practicality, tradition, and community values that define this remarkable culture. The process begins long before the actual pickling commences, rooted in the careful cultivation of gardens that provide the raw materials for this beloved dish. Amish families typically dedicate substantial portions of their gardens to growing sugar beets or red beets, varieties chosen not only for their deep crimson color, but also for their ability to thrive in the regional climate without the aid of modern agricultural chemicals. The harvesting of beets occurs during the late summer and early fall months, when the vegetables have reached their optimal size and sweetness. Amish women, often working alongside their daughters in a tradition passed down through generations, carefully extract the beets from the earth, ensuring that the roots remain intact and undamaged. The timing of this harvest is crucial, as beets picked too early lack the concentrated flavors necessary for superior pickling, while those left too long in the ground may become woody and lose their tender texture. Once harvested, the beets undergo a meticulous cleaning process. Each beet is scrubbed thoroughly to remove all traces of soil, though the skins are left intact during the initial cooking phase. The Amish believe that cooking beets with their skins preserves both nutrients and flavor while preventing the loss of the deep red color that makes the final product so visually appealing. The cleaned beets are then sorted by size to ensure even cooking, with larger specimens sometimes being cut into uniform pieces to promote consistent processing. The cooking of beets represents the first crucial step in the pickling process. Large pots, often made of heavy-duty stainless steel or enamel, are filled with water and set over wood-burning stoves that provide steady, controllable heat. The beets are added to the boiling water and cooked until they can be easily pierced with a fork, typically requiring anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour depending on their size. Throughout this cooking process, Amish cooks maintain vigilant attention to prevent overcooking, which would result in mushy beets unsuitable for pickling. While the beets cook, attention turns to the preparation of eggs, the second essential component of this traditional dish. Amish families typically maintain their own flocks of chickens, ensuring a steady supply of fresh eggs throughout the year. The eggs selected for pickling are usually those that are several days to a week old, as very fresh eggs can be difficult to peel cleanly after hard boiling. The eggs are carefully inspected for cracks or imperfections before being placed in pots of cold water. The hard boiling process follows time-tested methods designed to produce perfectly cooked eggs with firm whites and fully set yolks. The eggs are brought to a rolling boil and then cooked for exactly 12 minutes, a timing that prevents the formation of the gray ring around the yolk that can occur with overcooking. Once the cooking time is complete, the eggs are immediately transferred to ice water baths to halt the cooking process and facilitate easier peeling. As the beets finish cooking, they are carefully removed from the hot water and allowed to cool just enough to handle safely. The skins are then rubbed away by hand, a process that reveals the brilliant red flesh beneath. This skin removal is often performed outdoors or in areas where the inevitable red staining will not cause problems, as beet juice has a remarkable ability to color everything it touches. The peeled beets are then sliced into rounds of consistent thickness, typically about a 1/4 inch thick, though some families prefer slightly thicker or thinner slices based on personal preference. The preparation of the pickling brine represents perhaps the most critical aspect of the entire process, as the quality and balance of this liquid determines the final flavor of the finished product. Traditional Amish pickling brines combine white vinegar, water, and sugar in carefully measured proportions, creating a solution that provides the proper acidity for safe preservation while delivering the sweet tart flavor profile characteristic of this dish. The typical ratio calls for equal parts of vinegar and water, with sugar added to achieve the desired level of sweetness. To this basic brine, Amish cooks add a variety of spices that have been favored by their ancestors for generations. Whole cloves provide a warm, aromatic note that complements the earthiness of the beets, while bay leaves contribute a subtle herbal complexity. Black peppercorns add a gentle heat that balances the sweetness, and some families include cinnamon sticks or allspice berries for additional warmth and depth. The exact combination of spices often varies from family to family, with recipes passed down through generations and sometimes modified based on personal preference or the availability of certain spices. The brine is brought to a boil in large pots, allowing the spices to release their essential oils and the sugar to dissolve completely. This boiling process also ensures that any potential harmful bacteria are eliminated, contributing to the safety and shelf life of the finished product. The timing of this step is coordinated carefully with the preparation of the beets and eggs, as the hot brine must be ready when the other components are prepared for assembly. The assembly of pickled beets and eggs takes place in glass canning jars, typically quart-sized containers that provide adequate space for the ingredients while allowing for proper brine coverage. The jars themselves are sterilized beforehand through boiling water baths or steam treatments, ensuring that no unwanted microorganisms compromise the preservation process. Many Amish families prefer to use mason jars with new lids, as the reliable sealing properties of these containers have made them a favorite for home preservation for well over a century. The layering process begins with placing the peeled hard-boiled eggs in the bottom of each jar. These are arranged carefully to maximize space utilization while ensuring that they will be completely covered by the brine. The sliced beets are then added, creating alternating layers that not only look attractive but also ensure even distribution of flavors throughout the jar. Some families prefer to place all the eggs at the bottom and top with beets, while others create alternating layers throughout the entire jar. As the hot brine is ladled into the jars, steam rises and the vibrant colors of the beets begin to intensify. The liquid must cover all the solid ingredients completely, with about a half-inch of headspace remaining at the top of each jar to allow for proper sealing. Any air bubbles that form during this process are carefully removed by running a clean knife or wooden utensil around the inside edges of the jar, ensuring that the brine reaches all areas and that no air pockets remain to potentially compromise preservation. The sealing process follows standard canning procedures, with lids placed on the filled jars and tightened to finger-tight specifications. The jars are then processed in boiling water baths for the time required by their size and altitude, typically 10 to 15 minutes for quart jars at sea level. This processing step ensures that the contents reach temperatures sufficient to eliminate any remaining harmful microorganisms while creating the vacuum seal necessary for long-term storage. After processing, the jars are removed from the water bath and allowed to cool completely on towel-covered surfaces away from drafts. The distinctive popping sound of lid sealing provides audible confirmation that the preservation process has been successful. Jars that fail to seal properly are identified and either reprocessed with new lids or refrigerated for immediate consumption. The maturation period that follows represents perhaps the most challenging aspect of the entire process for many families, as the tantalizing jars must sit unopened for several weeks to allow the flavors to develop fully. During this time, the acidic brine gradually penetrates the eggs and beets, creating the characteristic tangy flavor and deep red coloration that makes this dish so distinctive. The eggs absorb both color and flavor from the beets, transforming from ordinary hard-boiled eggs into something far more complex and interesting. Most Amish families recommend allowing the pickled beets and eggs to cure for at least 2 weeks before opening, though many prefer to wait a full month for optimal flavor development. During this waiting period, the jars are stored in cool, dark locations, such as basement pantries or root cellars, where consistent temperatures help ensure proper preservation and flavor development. The cultural significance of pickled beets and eggs extends far beyond their practical value as preserved food. Within Amish communities, the preparation of these and other preserved foods represents an important bonding activity that brings multiple generations together in shared work. Grandmothers teach granddaughters the subtle techniques that cannot be captured in written recipes, passing along not only cooking methods but also family traditions and cultural values. The communal nature of pickling activities reflects broader Amish values of cooperation and mutual assistance. Large batches are often prepared during community gatherings where multiple families work together, sharing resources, knowledge, and labor to accomplish tasks that might be overwhelming for individual households. These events strengthen community bonds while ensuring that traditional methods are preserved and transmitted to younger generations.